Hello fellow humans and welcome to the ultimate buying guide of World of Tanks Blitz, and this is going to be for people that pay a lot, maybe some, and also that pay none. Now obviously if you're a free-to-play player, the best ways to get gold is by watching ads up here on mobile only, and also by participating in events like this where you can get, you know, like gold boosters and sometimes gold, and also premium days to get better experience with the game, because obviously free-to-play is kind of painful sometimes. Now, another thing you can do if you are free-to-play is go to your clan. If you have a clan level and personal level, level 10, you can go down here and you can purchase the IS-5 for 1,500 gold if you're really strapped for gold and you want to have a tier 8 premium tank, because I would always recommend getting at least 1 or 2 tier 8 premium tanks to make your credit grinding a lot easier, and ideally make them good tier 8s. I mean, this one's not great, but it's playable, so if you are really strapped for cash, then that is your best option. And if you are looking for a very good clan, then Nuts is the one to go to. Now, let's have a look at the shop, obviously, as well, because there are some things in here that are good, some things here that are very horrible. First thing that's absolutely horrible are crates. Crates are miserable. Do not ever buy crates. Crates are garbage. No matter what form of crates, they're always stacked against you. Do not ever buy crates. But make sure to open these weekly and daily containers. They do include some things that are for free, which is very nice, so don't forget to open these. However, ignore any paid container that there is. Also ignore this premium account section here, because I do have 1,000 days, but I didn't buy any of those. I always got them with something else that I got. So, and also, yeah, CSGO skin money does go a long way, but ignore that. Now, I wouldn't recommend buying this at all. Same, I wouldn't recommend buying these here. These are most of the time pretty bad value compared to the better bundles that you can get. Now, I do have these doubling things, you know, where you can get like double the gold for half the price, essentially. Those can be worth it, but again, it's quite expensive, so it depends on you whether you want to do that. Now, then we move on to the tanks. Buy a tier 8 if you can, obviously. Always buy a tier 8 first. If you have a good tier 8s already, then you can maybe branch out and get other tiers, but always get tier 8 first. Tier 10 doesn't mean better, it's always tier 8. Then, don't buy new vehicles that have been newly released and coming from crates, like this one, for example. It is absolutely horrible value at 15,000. No tier 8 is ever worth more than 10,000 gold, you know, because this thing currently costs the same as some tier 10s, so just keep that in mind. So this is dumb. Another thing that is dumb is these prices right here. You know, it says 20,000. That price is completely made up and fictional. You know, that's just Wargaming made that up. Wargaming thinks that's how much it's worth, but the only price that actually matters is what it sells for. That other price and that discounted price essentially is worth absolutely nothing. Just like this most profitable and exclusive offer, they're worth absolutely nothing. They're simply marketing tricks to try and convince you and to try and trick you into buying more of it. So yeah, just ignore those. Then, what you should also ignore is converting gold to credits. That's one of the dumbest things you can do. Never do that. You know, if you want to make credits, either get them in a bundle or play for them. Free XP can be very useful. I'll talk about how to spend free XP wisely later, but I will have a look at that as well. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, you also have these individual offers that like count for only you. And something like this, but obviously I get the garbage, obviously, right here. Things like this are a lot better value than the gold. As you can see, this is 100 euros, which is just insane. But 42k, 5 million credits, 100 days of premium, and 500 boosters each. This is the same price as the 37,000 gold, remind you. So if you want to spend, get a bundle like this one. Right, because then you get a bit of everything. Even with those 40k gold, you can get yourself 4 or 5 very, very strong tier 8 premium tanks, and you never have to buy anything ever again, essentially. Now, lockboxes, same thing applies. Lockboxes are horrible value, always. Do not ever buy any lockboxes. Same goes for attachments, for camouflages. Do not ever buy them with gold. Same with avatars. Avatars and camos in bundles are there to simply artificially increase the value of a bundle to jack up the price to make wargaming earn more. They do not have any practical value whatsoever. So stay away from buying any avatars, attachments, or camouflages if you want to get the best out of your money, because those are horribly priced and definitely never going to be worth it. Attachments, avatars, and camos, stay away from them.
Okay.
Then, another great way, obviously, is bundles like... If you don't want to spend $100, a bundle like this is certainly going to be enough, obviously. There's also a €10 one. That is pretty great value, to be honest. So, there's that. Now, in this event here, the one that is going to be worth it will be the Chieftain. You know, great price. Is a very solid vehicle, obviously. So that is things you have to orient yourself by. Other vehicles that are great to buy are an AMX M449, a Object 2 FTU, a 112-2, even though you could have gotten that for free in a previous event, or a T4A2 or a Chimera. Now, obviously, one of the great ways to also get premium tanks is to participate in events like this and also get golden boosters and stuff like that. However, the problem with events like this is that the players that are going to be active in the game are going to be absolutely horrible. So if you can fight yourself through the absolute misery that is matchmaking during events, then events like this can bring you a lot of good stuff as well. What is also an absolutely amazing value, and what's probably the first thing that you should definitely consider if you go from free-to-play to not free-to-play, or even if you're free-to-play, consider and always do your Battle Pass missions if you have the time to do them. They changed the system now so that you can do them weekly, so that's not too bad. However, obviously they introduced that stupid license thing, which isn't worth it. But try to do your missions, obviously, because if you go through here, you can get about a week of premium, essentially, if you do all your missions, and you can get some gold as well. And if you combine that with event gold and add gold, if you're free to play, you can get yourself up to a tier 8 premium tank quite easily there. And you can even get yourself extra credits if you don't want these vehicles, you can sell them as well. So that is going to be very useful. You know, you get some goodies. Obviously, if you buy the premium pass, it's €5 a month, which is not that bad, to be honest. Like, if you play the game a lot, if you enjoy it, then the premium pass is the best investment you can make, pretty much, if you do play it actively, because that way you get a lot of extra stuff, and you also get these vaults. Obviously, you can fill them up to 2,000, I believe, and after 3 battle passes, you already have yourself a solid tier 8 vehicle, and you have a lot more as well, like an insane amount of more as well. So battle pass, pretty much the best thing that you can get, pretty much, in the game. Now, there is one more thing that I want to show you that might be interesting in the future, and that is Wargaming's own shop. Now, obviously, the problem is if you buy on Android or on iOS, then those take a commission, and Wargaming doesn't get the full price. Now, what they can do here on their own shop is they can charge as much as they want to, because it's their own shop and they get all the money themselves. So what they do here, for 37,500 gold, for this bundle right here, it's €81. If you remember, in the game, it is 100. So basically, in this shop, you get it cheaper. Now, obviously, for now, they only have gold on offer, which is not great, obviously, because they are horrible value, but they're cheaper. So if Wargaming decides to ever add special bundles to this one, then they are going to be cheaper than if you buy them in the regular shop on your phone or whatever. And all you got to do is log in and then choose whichever payment method you want that is available, and then poof, you got it. It's the same way it is on World Tanks PC. So keep an eye on this shop as well. Out of it. And as I already said earlier, now we get into free XP, because free XP is quite an interesting topic as well that can help you grind lines faster. Now, I don't recommend you just free XP entire lines. That I know I did that in the past, but I'm me. So if you want to be responsible with your money, right, then what you do is you buy modules. You do not buy vehicles. You always play the tank, unless it's like super absolutely garbage and you absolutely hate it. Like, for example, a T28 prototype. You hate the T28 prototype and you really want the T30. It still makes more sense to play this vehicle out and then upgrade the T30 than to just skip this thing, because a stock T30 is essentially just a tier 8. And the same goes for pretty much any other vehicle. A stock Pershing is not going to be much better than a T20. So always upgrade modules of the next vehicle rather than upgrading to the next vehicle. Let's say you have 50k free XP right here, and you really hate the T20, and you are 50k away from the Pershing. You still play those 50k. Also, don't enrich tanks, by the way. That's dumb. If enrichment is discounted, it can be useful. Otherwise, stay away from it. The Pershing, if you have 50k, for example, you have 50k here. You really want the Pershing. But don't do that. Because then, for those 50k, you can fully upgrade the Pershing, and you actually have a better experience then, rather than having to play a stock crap vehicle, essentially, at that point. Now, obviously, another thing that is problematic for free-to-play players is going to be equipment and also the, crew of a vehicle. Now, I would always buy 75% crew. That is not a discussion. You buy a tank with 50% crew is not going to be played, okay? If I ever see one of you playing with 50% crew, I'm going to come to your house, I'm going to take your fridge. You do not play with 75% crew. If you can't afford 75% crew, you do not run the vehicle. Then, with equipment, what I would do, if you're really strapped for creds, get the first row at least. If a vehicle, 75% crew and the first row. That's the minimum that I would play a vehicle. Also, always use 3 consumables, and as a provision, at least use the chocolate. If you can't afford the other 2, at least use the main food provision right here. If you can't do that, you can't afford the tank. And obviously, it's a lot easier to do that in lower tiers than it is in higher. That's why I obviously don't recommend you to push up the tiers faster. So basically, first row, 75% crew, full consumables, medkit, essentially like multi-kit and repair kit, and the third one, whatever. 1 provision, that is food, and some premium ammo as well. If you are strapped for cash, I would use at least 5% premium ammo if you do need it. And for equipment, the first row, definitely. Other than that, I would not start a battle in a vehicle, because the experience of that is going to be absolutely horrible. And ideally, obviously, you're going to fully equip it, but for higher tiers, that is going to be somewhat painful. Now, obviously, if you're free to play, you're never going to get all the tier 10s, or you're going to just have to spend an astronomical amount of time to do that. So I would prioritize vehicles that are actually going to be good and worth it. Now, the problem is now in update 9.1, a lot of vehicles are going to change, so I'm not going to make too many predictions. But I can tell you what is worth it and what continue to be worth it are going to be the 60 TP for the heavy tanks, so that is a good choice there. The i7 can also be a reasonable choice. Not the greatest, but it can be useful. The E50M is still going to be fine-ish. It's going to be slightly nerfed, but it's still going to be a relatively good line. The Leopard is an amazing vehicle. However, obviously, it is very, very hard to play and should never, ever be gotten as your first tier 10. Always try to get a heavy or a heavily armored medium like the E50M as your first tier 10, or your first 3-4 tier 10s, in fact, because otherwise you're going to absolutely struggle. Another tip, never get the 183, ever. Just don't get the 183, like, ever. And in its current state, the Type 71 is also relatively easy to play and can yield you some good results. It's not an amazing vehicle, however, it can do well because of the very good armor that it does have. So, that said, what do you buy in Blitz? Do you buy anything? Do you buy nothing? Put it in the comments. And as always, thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one. Goodbye.